This is something no one's talking about. It has to come out.
Marks are not everything that you see. It is what you build in yourself.
It's called just give me some space. Sometimes, really make you shine, but sometimes also, pull you down. Shh. Listen, no one to critique us. We are broken.
In Copperpod and in Rubaru with Rupali, we have today a very interesting personality. In the field of writing architecture, we are going to introduce architect Suha Riaz Khopatkar. Suha has written many books and she is a young student, a pass out of Kamla Raheja School of Architecture, and she has graduated just in 2017. With 3 books in her publication, Suha has created a wonderful platform for the students in writing architecture. Let's explore this platform with her. Yes, everyone, we are here with Suha, who I just introduced. And I have experienced Suha as a very interesting person when she is a tutor to the young students, or even when she is generally talking with you. There is a sense and a fringe of maturity and too much of confidence which I feel that she holds. I'm sure you will come to know when we talk to her. So Suha, welcome on board.
Thank you, ma'am, for that lovely introduction. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so keen to know that you graduated in 2017 from Kamla Raheja.
Yes.
And by the time you were 2 years into the field of professional practice, you already had one book in your hand, and which was so much sought after because that book was the experience maybe of your 5 years as a student, and you thought of penning it down in a very interesting format. Just tell us, how did you begin this journey? How did you think of writing? Because it cannot happen that you thought of writing in 2017 as soon as you graduated. It must have inculcated somewhere in the early years as a student. And I suppose that would be very important for students to know.
Of course. So I got into architecture, honestly, at a whim. I didn't know I was going to get into, I wanted to get into architecture. There was this show that I used to watch, How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
And in that, the main lead, Ted Mosby, is a die-hard romantic, and his character is an architect.
Okay.
So the way he talks about buildings, the way he's passionate about the field, the way the writers have described what the field is like, I was so attracted to the whole idea of, being romanticizing an entire city, and, seeing life through people, through buildings, and designing for people, and just, designing experiences. That I was like, okay, I'm getting into architecture.
Exactly.
And
with a very romanticized idea of what architecture would be.
And I did share that with people as well. People will say, oh, I got into architecture because I'm good at drawing, because, my father's a constructor, my mother's in the building business.
Yes.
So I was like, no, I like Ted Mosby and How I Met Your Mother rocks. Woo! and of course, it got a lot of laughs. But when I got into the field, it definitely opened my eyes. It made me see what architecture actually is. Then in my 3rd year, I had this incredible elective. I think that is what has kind of refocused my energy to writing as well. It was an elective by Nisha Nair Gupta.
Okay.
She is now a very dear friend, and I also consider her as a mentor, which she doesn't agree to. But she says, oh, we are friends.
Yeah, she's too humble and modest.
Yeah, I truly admire her. Yes. She took an elective with us in college about writing in architecture. And since then, this bug has been in me. And then I started exploring writing in different mediums as well. For juries, I would start writing poems. I would start writing, like an experiential tour for the whole thing. And then you would read it, or it's like a small manifesto put up on the on the tack board or something like that. Like exploring different ways in just,
Exactly.
presenting yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when you were presenting to the jurors, you're presenting your ideas, you were expressing.
Of course.
So that writing was always there. Then in the third year, I had a tough time actually. I had a really tough time with the technical studios. Then there were some personal issues also. Loss of friends, a lot of issues. Then competition and all of that.
Yeah.
So I knew that there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of tensions going on. And when your friends are talking to you about all these things, I knew the story was untold.
Oh.
No one knew what architecture students go through. No one knew what the college life was like, except for that one movie. I believe you know this movie by Arundhati Roy, in which Annie gave her those ones.
Yeah.
That's the one cult film we
God,
had.
yes, of course. And right from generations, we have been going through that movie. Yeah.
That movie says such a poignant point that a personal agenda can set you back by 3-4 years. Okay, and no one understands what architecture students actually go through because of this in the evaluation process.
Exactly.
Right? Personal agendas, personal vendettas can cost you a lot. And so I was like, okay, so this is something no one's talking about. It has to come out. And I knew that after college, I'm not taking up a job. Whatever it is, whether it's a movie, whether it's a painting, whether it's a book, whether it's just a series of sketches, whether it's a zine, I'm going to express it.
Wonderful.
So I sat down. But when I sat down, very naturally, it started
coming on
pouring out, and it poured out. And I met Nisha. I was like, I have this idea. She's like, okay, meet me in a few months. We'll see.
Wonderful.
It's great. Meet me. And in 9 months, I met her with like a manuscript.
Wow.
So, that was I think third year is where it all transpired. This is
Yes.
the product of all the 9 months of work, and I think in the 5 years of work also. So if you'll see the pages, the book is divided in 5 segments. The pages in the middle, this is the third year segment.
Oh.
So they are the ones with black pages and white text.
Let's see.
Yeah, so that was a tough time for me. And that is how I've represented. But I had that.
Yeah.
So
I want to tell the audience here, Nisha Nair Gupta is an architect by profession, and she has her firm in the name of People Place Project. So again, a passionate architect in writing, in researching, in documenting. I think Nisha has been a role model who built up her firm with this space. When there were hardly anybody who could look at taking up this field of writing or researching as a niche area and work towards it.
absolutely.
And that is why Nisha has been a role model to many, because she has set up her platform at a level where students can look up. She can groom students. She can give them a platform where they can publish such books with her help. And many of my students who are into writing architecture have been interning with her. And we are surely going to call her on our podcast once. And I'm glad that we are speaking about her here right now. Suha, what I see is there was a lot of what you expressed in your book. It is the same passion, same struggles, same challenges that the students go through. And somewhere or the other, it is a way of expression. It is a way how they try to bring out that once they get their degree. I suppose books like this, where you will tell them that you are not alone. Students are aware in their classroom that yes, everybody is facing it. But the minute they come out into the professional life, certain times they might feel that whether I was a good student, because we are too much marks related. We are too much, focused. That is what our system tries to build up. They give us credit points. There are changes coming up. All this is there. But still, an education system looks at marks. Their parents look at marks. The people who are not from architecture look at marks. So to tell the students that marks are not everything that you see. It is what you build in yourself, and you find who you are as a person more will try to build your career.
Absolutely.
And I suppose you have rightly, gauged what you wanted to do, where you wanted to go, and you began with this. It is a lot of maturity that is seen, Suha. It is not because you didn't get scared. You didn't get, or maybe I would say you were scared, but still that confidence to pour in your thoughts and come up. Did you feel that you had that strong-mindedness while moving ahead in this 5 years of course? Did you feel that you were something, where because I feel your maturity is much stronger and you're very collected and poised with the decisions that you take.
I don't know about that. I don't think it's always like that, of course. But in the 5 years, I did see a lot changing in me. I mean, I was changing a lot through the years. And the course is also such, it adds a lot of years to you.
Exactly.
Right? The amount of pressures you're under, the amount of learning that you get, the exposure that you get due to travel.
Yeah.
And of course, being in a classroom where you are exposed to 80 ideas daily, that in itself also opens your mind, your perspective a lot.
Exactly.
So, of course, I was growing. I did have a strong sense of direction in the beginning, but when I got out, there's also a lot. It's also got a lot to do with support from the family, where they understood that they understood that this is something that she's got. This is something that she's going to see through. And I think people usually struggle with that, saying that no one understands. No one gets it. But I believe if there are results coming, they will see it.
Exactly.
Right? So the first book, I think Nisha has got a very strong hand to play in it because she published it as well. But it's also important to find like-minded people who see the vision, who see where it's going. And then they just give you your space. Like the book says, just give me some space.
Yes, I was about to come to that. What is the name of the book? Because not everybody knows about it.
Yeah, it's called Just Give Me Some Space. And it's mental space, physical space, just to be in your zone and, do what you do best, right? Create and at the bottom line, express. So I think that was something that was happening. But of course, it wasn't always ups, as you could see. But there were tough times.
You found this as a healing element.
Yes, 100%.
When you had to write. Certain times we tell the students, you write journals, you write diaries, because that pressure that builds up in you needs to come out. And was it the same reason when you realized that you are finding too much of peace with doing this? The next step that you took of doing a course in art-based therapy? Can you tell us something about it?
Absolutely, ma'am. So the pretext is from the journal of an architecture student.
Yes.
So definitely it was a very, very cathartic process for me to, look back, take it all in, put a step out from the story, put a different lens to it, and actually see the growth and actually see where it's going, right? So very naturally, it kind of got me thinking about the experiential part of architecture, about how we are going through the field, how we are, seeing life differently, how it's making us grow. So definitely on a dinner table, if you have your friends from school, and they're already in pretty secure jobs, they've got their corporate suits on, and
they're earning well.
They're earning well, but you've just graduated. So that you're already feeling a little behind. You're feeling a little insecure, finding the pressure about what to do next. But in that space, you're also seeing that, there's so much more that you have to offer. There are so many more channels that you can explore. So I really started looking at, the psychology behind it, about why are we, so insecure when there's so much more that can be offered from the field itself.
Yes.
So, of course, it came from a place of self-reflection and healing. When I got into a PG diploma in arts-based therapy. So, the psychologist, Neha Patel, she used to come to our college.
Okay.
Okay, and she's the one who teaches this course.
So you did this course from where?
So she has a Mind and Arts Institute. They've collaborated with Dr. Bhanuben Nanavati Development and Research Center.
So was it only a girls?
No,
it
not
was
at
a
all.
co-ed, right?
Yes, of course. But it was only for psychology students.
Oh.
So I have written letters, I have written mails, I have plead.
So you had to really,
Yes.
tell her that I'm fit for the course.
I had to tell her my vision. What can I gain? That's not what it is. I had to really make her understand what my vision with this course is ahead. How can I help people through this? And how many more people's lives can be affected through this?
So Suha, here I would like to ask you how you found out that this course is right for you.
So, funnily enough, when you're talking about, the calmness bit, for 2 years, I was going crazy looking for masters. Because everyone is going here, everyone's going there, everyone, all my, all my the batchmates were like, 2 years ahead. They'd already worked for a year or two and they were looking at masters. And so I was really under a lot of pressure by myself. Put on by myself. I should be, now doing something more. Although by that time I did have one more book.
Okay, which was that?
I'll come to that.
Later.
I'll come to that. I did have one more book, but I was like, I need to, now step up and just get into a master's. And I didn't find the right mix. So I think taking that time to realize what is right for you is very difficult.
Exactly.
In that moment. So I knew about this course for 2 years because I was in touch with Neha. I would see her on her page. She would forward.
Okay.
So I knew, but I wasn't signing up because it wasn't a master's.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it took me 2 years to realize it needn't be a master's to,
So true.
to, fuel your fire,
Exactly. Yeah, basically when we look at a professional course of BRG, itself is like a degree where you can continue. You don't need an added education until and unless you know what you have to do. So there's no need to jump into masters immediately just looking at what people are doing and whether they're going to get a good pay package after doing masters. It shouldn't be that way.
So
very nice.
At the bottom of it all is, of course, self-awareness. Till now, I don't know fully where I want to be, right? But as long as you know roughly what the path is, then you can follow that.
Yeah. It's always those momentary years, those momentary months where you feel what I should do now.
Yeah.
And you just go ahead with that because you don't know what is there in the universe is kept for you ahead, right?
So when I joined the course, it's arts-based therapy, basically. We look at resolving mental health issues through art. So I design sessions, I design therapy sessions, these are primarily, in which we deal with visual arts. We will have something to do with body work, drama work. It's got a lot of theatre work in it, and a lot of music work. So rhythm, voice, how to, stay connected to that and how to resolve many of your issues through these mediums. So it just really, and seeing life through metaphors.
Yes.
That is something I sold them. I was like, I can pull
yes.
metaphors from anything.
Anything.
You know, that is something that
The
our jury
architecture has,
education
I
has given us.
swear.
We can pull metaphors. We can, you know, make stories.
You can
We
make
can build, you know, an
narratives
entire
and
narrative.
yeah.
In minutes. So basically, just seeing people and you know, helping them in this process of theirs of self-reflection and journey,
Yes.
but through art. So it's just, I think everything is heightened and like led me to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I would like to again tell you all here that Suha has been associated with academia, with me, for a year now. And she has worked out this art-based therapy course for the students. And we see to it that it goes in every class somehow or the other, you know. So we see to it that the students come and sit for the class because in the pressure of submissions, in the pressure of, you know, their day-to-day routine of architecture course, if I would have given them an option whether you want to choose art, which she actually said that, ma'am, we cannot, let them come. But then somewhere I used to say that, Suha, let them realize what the course is, because she had a very wonderful perspective of looking at such activities, you know, which can learn or teach you to self-reflect and introspect yourself, which is a very, I would say, it is a difficult process. Not everybody can do it. It is not inbuilt in a person because they're so tied up with day-to-day life. Suha has also done a course with Council of Architecture, New Delhi, which is our main body. And she has done this course, an empathy building course for the teachers under the faculty development program. So I think in this short span of 1 year, you have reached many stakeholders of the family of architecture, right? What was your experience, Suha?
I think that happened very organically with my vision for having this book in all libraries in the country. So the reason I went to Jayashree ma'am's was that this book needs to be with all architecture students. Give it to them, you know. And thankfully, this is now Jasgini Neeson Spaces in all architecture libraries under COA with Pan India.
Yes.
And that really gave me the push of, you know, exploring it more and working with the teachers now. You know, because you can't just look at one side of things. This is a dynamic. This is a conversation. So you start talking to the teachers. What are their experiences like? You know, with the generational shifts, what's happening next? You know, how are they communicating better? So I was working. We did a faculty development program, yes, where we were looking at stress management. We were looking at understanding the self. We were looking at ways of communication. We were looking at how can, you know, teachers be better mentors.
Yes.
You know, rather than teachers. You know, they're heroes. They are going to be the mentors. This is a relationship you're going to have for life.
Exactly.
So in that also there were so many self-reflective activities that the teachers were going through. And funnily enough, you know, this was a long stretch of a program. So in like on the third day or fourth day, some of the teachers, there were a couple of principals also. This was Pan India. So a couple of teachers, a principal from one of the institutes was telling me in one of the lectures that, you know what, Suha, today a couple of students were talking mid-class and I wanted to yell at them. I would have yelled at them. But, you know, I just took a 3-second break and I just had a conversation, and the conversation led to such big revelations, like which I would have never done. And, you know, maybe a shift in my approach led to a shift in communication and led to a shift in a dynamic, which I think I want to explore more.
Wonderful.
And just these like small steps. I know it's this shift, like even self-exploration resulting in a bigger circle, then a bigger circle. Like it'll take time. But it's that journey that we start, right?
Of course, and the satisfaction that you get, it
Of
is
course.
beyond
It's-
anything else that you can measure in terms of worth.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with COA, of course, I was working with the teachers, but I was also working with the students. Like in the pandemic time, we were doing a lot of workshops about stress relief. We were doing a lot of mental health workshops. And in those workshops, I would always bring in, like writing. I would always bring in this idea of self-reflection, putting a third point perspective in your own life. So when you write, it makes you step out of
Yes.
that mental space
Yes.
and see things in a way more structured manner,
Yes,
maybe.
and somewhere the third perspective helps you to rethink.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, once the experience is gone, we move ahead.
Yes.
But when we have to write it down, we rethink and then we find many areas which that moment we had not seen that experience as. And then we start thinking, maybe this has helped me to do this has helped me to do that, So, yes. And how about your next upcoming books? Or not upcoming, the ones which you have already
Okay.
published.
So this one is this is a small one, but it holds like a lot in it because it's called Dear Creativity, and it's an anthology. So it's got 21 poems with these paintings, black and white paintings. It's about me talking to my inner creativity.
Okay.
It's a partner of mine, right? So there are things like topics like memory, talent, fiction, broken, and it's just these are really strong because we as creative folk, struggle with a lot of insecurities. There's a lot that kicks in. There's a lot of imposter syndrome that sometimes
Yeah.
comes in. Oh, am I doing this right? Is this the right way to do it? Should I proceed more? That self-doubt that is kicking in. So to know that your relationship with your inner creativity is also a process. It's also a relationship.
Yes.
It will have its ups and downs. It will sometimes, really make you shine, but sometimes also, pull you down. But, to constantly just keep working at it. I think where the most push that I get is when when students reach out. So these nails or these really heartfelt notes or interactions that I have with them, it's just something that fuels it even more. That, okay, this is a topic that needs to, go further. This is something that needs to be explored more.
You think we should read something from Dear Creativity?
Of course, of course.
Anything of your choice. I mean, everything is your choice, but
I was just thinking that I would read one. Okay, so would you like me to read Talent or Broken? They are both.
Talent or Broken. I think you gave the example of Broken.
I gave an example of Broken.
So we'll read Broken?
Okay, we'll read Broken.
Yeah.
Okay. A place of unrest, a body in discomfort, shakes with even a single word. It is noisy in here, a bit too loud for my liking. I see your lips moving. I can't catch a word. This raucous is deafening. Let's tune them out. They have no idea what they are talking about. We know what we have. Lock the door, cut the voices out. Breathe with me for a minute. Sync your heartbeat to mine. Stay here a minute longer. Shh. Listen. No one to critique us. We are broken, pieces all over the room. Let's pick them up, scattered by each word you hear. Voices keep changing. This room is darker than your thoughts. Slide the curtains, let the light creep in and find a way. We are broken.
Oh.
So that's the painting. And so whenever I talk to students about this, we do like a whole thing with the poem. We have like a narrative writing thing, and they explore their own thoughts and they see how they see the poem and what they find from it. And it's just so powerful, because with architectural students, they are already a little attuned to, expressing their thoughts and, working with creative mediums. So with them, it's like the session goes to just another level, right? And a lot of the topics and issues come up, which is always nice to talk about.
Of course, Suha, and the criticness that you spoke of, the brokenness that you spoke of, that you mentioned, somewhere it speaks so much. It tries to show them a way that this is something which happens with everybody. You have to just sit, think, pause, let the light creep in. Wonderful. And when the students would want to speak to you regarding this, there will be so much of the examples, the memories
Absolutely.
that they might want to discuss, and you would give them some sort of a therapy in a way which would help them build up these broken pieces. It's wonderful. So you don't know how much difference are you making in the lives of students and the faculty. Really, my God, such a young kid she is for me when I'm speaking to her, and such a mature person. Wow, wonderful. There is a third book that I'm seeing.
Yes. So this book is actually written by Vaishali Shroff, and I have done the illustrations for it. Again, our publisher is Nisha Nair, PPP. So this is about the Portuguese history in India, and it's mostly historical, but it's in a really lovely format where we are looking at these objects and they are telling the stories. So the baobab tree is telling the story. The rock outside a fort is telling a story.
Yes.
So it's very interesting, and this book has won a couple of awards as well.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. And that was again a very interesting way to explore. So of course, going in writing, so freelancing of course is going on, but somewhere down the line they're all fusing together. They're all just coming together and going.
Yes. So I feel it just gives such a silver line to the entire challenging period that an architecture student goes through. If this is what you can build up after going through the 5 years of education and trying to show a way to the ones who are with you or who would be following you, I mean, what more can the profession expect? Wonderful.
Thank you.
Such a lovely journey that you have come till now, and a wholehearted blessing and wishes to you for achieving many more heights, and hand holding so many of other students who can come up through their happiness, trauma, whichever feeling that they have, but to feel gratified with what they have got, to understand, to learn the people around them, and not be egoistic, which otherwise is very much a part connected to architecture, which we feel that, oh, these are very egoistic people, they have their own whims and fancies, but it's not so until and unless we don't go to people and talk to them and realize them. And I suppose your writings, your sessions in the art-based therapy is making them a good human being. Yeah.
But there's also a lot to learn from, of course, architecture education, like the studio culture. It's great. There's so many there's so many merits to it. It's just because of the difference in evaluation, there are a lot of issues.
So majority of students after graduation, they realize what the course has given them, and this is where, as educators now, you and me are happy, or we still have that confidence when we tell them everything will be all right, just move ahead. We are there to help you, we are there to support you, we will bring you out of all this, but eventually you're going to be a totally different person after the course, and a wonderful human being, and you will be doing so much for the society, which you are a role model for that. What you're doing is amazing.
Oh my God.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you so
something
much.
that you have to tell this young generation.
Oh, something that I have to tell them. Whew, that's a big question. Um, One thing would definitely be that nothing is ever going to be in your control. You know, if you
Wonderful.
think I have things under control, I don't. Even ma'am, if she claims she does, she doesn't. Okay?
Exactly.
So, even though it looks like we are,
Yeah.
calmly
Oh,
sitting,
yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
it seems like that, but it's never going to be in your control. So, it's the fun of the process, the fun of, enjoying and trusting the process is what makes uncertainty bearable. So I think that is something to live by. And more than, of course, mental stability, I think we need to be aiming towards mental flexibility. I think that way then we can, merge into things, create our own flow, create our own paths, and, just do so much more. I think these two things would be.
Lovely, lovely. That was a very good message that you have told the students. And with this, thank you for being here,
Thank you
Soha.
so much.
We are going to read more of your books, and we are going to bring you again with another group of books here and talking about your
Yes.
experiences. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me. It was lovely being here.